Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Podiatry Business Podcast with myself, Lorcan O'Donaile, podiatrist and business coach and owner of Podiatry Patients on Tap marketing service for podiatry clinic owners. So clinic owners come to me for mainly one main reason, and that is that their business is not doing what they want. It's not generating enough profit to justify what they're putting in. Or maybe it's generating a lot of profit, but they're having to kill themselves for it. So business is essentially a numbers game. It's a numbers game that you can manipulate those numbers to get it to do what you want to do. And while there are a lot of numbers that I would have my clients keep an eye on, what we call our KPIs, and we try and automate this as much as we possibly can. There are 5 key levers, and I've talked about this before on this podcast before. There are 5 key levers that you can pull in your business or in any business to make it more profitable. So if you're currently working 60 hours a week and you want to work 30 hours a week and you want to make the same amount of money, well, then it's just numbers. That's all that is. Now, whether the numbers are going to make sense and you're going to get away, you're going to be able to do it or apply it, that's a different story, okay? You can't suddenly go from charging $10 to $1 million, okay? But overall, 99% of the cases, it should be fine. And it is a numbers game. So those 5 key numbers, and I'm going to go through this in a moment. I'm going to show you, if you're listening to this on a podcast, it might well be worth your while going looking on our YouTube channel, and you'll find that on our website, Podiatry Patients on Tap, or you'll also find it on More Practice Profits. But if you look at our YouTube, I will show you a calculator we've built that you can do this. So there are 5 key factors. 1, the number of leads. Now, leads are not patients. They are people who you have their contact details, their name, their email, and their phone number. You need to get all 3 really. And they've given you permission for you to follow up with them so that you can then convince them to become a patient. That is a lead. The second one is conversion of leads into patients. So what percentage of people that you get as a lead actually can you convince to become a patient? And that's a percentage number. The third key lever that you can change is the average appointment fee. So what you charge on average. Now, I understand that, for example, you go to my clinic, we might have 10 or 15 different types of appointments and the different types of charges. But what's the average fee we kind of take? And that is $1, euro, pound number, wherever it is you're living. It's a currency number. The next one is the number of appointments per patient, or the PVA is another way, patient visit average. How many appointments does that patient actually end up taking or having over X period of time? And you've probably heard me, if you listen to this podcast before, talking about lifetime value, which is average appointment fee multiplied by PVA, and that gives you the over that period of time. But how many appointments over time would you expect does a patient come in and use? And again, that's a number. And then the last one is your profit margin. Are you making 20%, 30%, 50%, 60% profit margin? Now, it isn't always about the highest number with profit margin. 50% of 100,000 turnover is not as much as 10% of $1 million turnover. So it's a combination of all of these things. So if you change these levers, you can make a huge difference to your business. And you don't actually need to change them a huge amount to make a huge change to your business profits. Because at the end of the day, what it will come down to is the profit that you make will give you the ability to choose. And if you're making whatever you're making right now, and then suddenly you're able to make the same amount of money for working, say, 20% less hours, it gives you a choice. You know what I'll do? I'll take a day off a week. Or I might keep working the number of hours and keep the cash, and then I can have a different type of lifestyle, and so on. But it gives you choice, because if you're not making profit, you can't really have a choice on what you're going to do with your business, and it's just not as enjoyable, is it, if you're not making enough profit? And I have been there. I have been in positions where on a Friday night, my wife has said to me, we have €4 left until Monday, until you go back to work and earn some money. And it is horrible. And I do not ever want to go back there. And I don't want you to be in a position, whatever it is, your position is to that struggle. So I'm going to show you now what I mean by this and how it can make a substantial difference to your business. So I'm going to share screen. This is a calculator that me and my team have built for our clients, and essentially let's go through it. So if we look here, what we have is the number of leads. So typically we will get somebody comes in and we'll do their marketing, and we can say get them 100 leads. So let's get them 100 leads. Now they've got 100 leads and they're able to convert, let's imagine 20%. So they can get 1 in 5 of those leads to come in. So that's 20 patients. And let's imagine that they charge $50, £50 for that appointment. And let's imagine that that person comes in an average of 4 times. And let's imagine that their profit margin, so after they've got everything in, so the revenue you can see is $4,000, okay? So the revenue, let's imagine, is 20%. Now that's low in my opinion. But again, 20% of $1 million is more than 50% of 100,000. But still, so what they've now made is they have made £800, euros profit from that 100 leads. Now, marketing is about, well, what does it cost me to get the 100 leads? If it costs me 100 to get £100 to get 100 leads, which you can do in Facebook, then, and I made 800, every time I spend 100, I make 800 profit. Got it? So let's just change this number a tiny amount. Let's just change all of these numbers by 10%. Now you might think, well, if I change the numbers by 10%, I'm going to make £80 more, or our profit's going to go up by 10%. But that's not the case. So instead of 100 leads, what we're going to do is we're going to get 110 leads. And instead of converting 22, or 20%, we're going to convert 22%. And instead of charging 50, we're going to charge 55. And instead of having that patient come in 4 times, they just come in 4.4 times. So we'll make it 5, just round it up to 5. And then the profit margin, instead of being 20%, we're going to say it's at 22%. So now what we suddenly have is, instead of having a profit of 800, we're now having a profit of 1,000, you can see it here, 452, which is a increase in profit of 81%. 81% by just that tiny change of each of these levers. Now let's assume that we do that by 20% instead of 10%. So instead of having 110 leads, 100 leads, we're having 120 leads. That's actually quite easy to do, believe it or not, very easy. And let's just say instead of having a conversion rate of 20%, we're having a conversion rate of 24%. And again, that's not hard to do. How we do that is we put in place our AI follow-up system for our clients, where AI will do all of the work for us, and we use our call center. So let's say we got 24%, and instead of charging 55, we're now going to charge 60. And we're going to leave the appointments at 5 because that's a true reflection. That's a 20% increase. But our profit margin, instead of being 22%, is now 24%. Now, typically, my clients' profit margin is usually around the 30%, 33% margin. However, aside from that, we can now see, just by changing this by 20% across the board, we now have a profit of 2,088, which is an increase in profit from the 800 of 261%. So if you imagine you could improve your profit by 261%, what would that do for you and for your business and for your life and for your family? And this is why I say that business is a numbers game. If you don't know the numbers, you don't know what all of these numbers are in your business, then you're not going to know what needs fixing. So for example, you might look at it and you might say, actually, my conversion rate's really, really good, but my fees are too low. Or you might say, my fees are fine, my patients are coming back, no problem, but I'm actually not getting any leads. I don't have anybody coming in. I'm not getting enough patients coming in the door. I'm not getting enough leads to even convert into patients because I have no marketing system. So the solution there is, well, let's fix your marketing system. So you're not necessarily going to go in and fix all 5 levers all together. You're going to work on one at a time. So the first thing you might do is say, well, I need more leads. So let's just set up some marketing. Who am I going to get to help me with some marketing? Second thing you might say is, well, I'm getting leads, but I can't convert any of them. Let's fix that. Let's get some conversions in place, or conversion systems in place. which would be AI marketing, AI voice, AI follow-up, call center follow-up, all that kind of stuff. Then you might say, actually, you know what? Everything's fine there, but I'm thinking a little bit too cheap. So let's change the price. So you get the gist. What we're doing is we're doing one step at a time of these 5 things. And we just go round and around and around. And you can maximize the profitability of your business while still giving a really good offer and a really good service to your patients. And this is why it's so important that you take time off from treating patients every single week to get to know your numbers. Now, you'll probably balk at that when you first hear it, the idea that if I'm not treating patients, I'm not turning over cash. But you can just see from what we did there that if you're not actually on top of your numbers, you can't make a change. And by making a change, you can substantially change your business without having to work any harder. So I hope that helps. If you want to, we'll have that calculator on our website probably in the next day or so. You're free to go and have a look at it. If not, take out a pen and paper, take out a calculator, work it out for yourself, and see the dramatic difference you can make in your business if you start making some of these changes. What we do is we help our clients to do this by A, business coaching, showing them how to do that, give them all the processes to do it, and B, by doing marketing services. We do various marketing services from Facebook ads, websites, AI voice follow-up. We even have AI 24-hour reception where we answer your phone now 24 hours a day, AI, and triage your patients and book them in for you. You don't have to do anything. Your front desk doesn't have to do anything. The AI does all of this, and so on and so forth. So I hope that helps. Until next time, this is Lorcan O'Donaile, podiatrist and podiatry business coach and marketing coach, signing out.